Hello, everyone, and welcome back to My Opinion. And MS Dhoni has stepped down from captain of the Chennai Super Kings. And I did feel quite sad when I read the news today. And there's been quite an elongated phasing out from the captaincy role because since he retired from the Test format in 2015, then he stepped down from being international captain in 2017 and then retiring from international cricket in 2020. Despite the fact that he wasn't playing international cricket, there was always this thing where he was still leading a side, and he was leading a side that has such an identity, being so successful, being an icon in franchise cricket, and mostly because of him. And I think that he's still going to be kind of being in the side as a player, playing a secondary role, which will be needed for the smooth transition for Jadeja to take over as captain. And I wish Jadeja all the best. And I'm going to get to why, for his first ever time captaining in professional cricket, Jadeja is going to have quite a job on his hands. But back to MS Dhoni. If you look at all round package that he offered with his batting, his keeping, his cricket smarts, really being a spin bowler's captain, it's just the complete package. Really, his leadership was kind of so subtle, and it kind of falls into his cricket smarts, where you think he'll be able to rescue the position for a fielding side without really when it didn't really seem like he was doing much. When CSK were in a bit of a precarious position quite a few times, Dhoni would just make these bowling changes, and in the end things would really work for the best. He put his arm around certain bowlers, and then they would really improve even mid-innings. Whether also in his batting, his calculations as to how to chase, to kind of get over the line when chasing totals. And just pretty much all round, I think that what he has offered as a cricketer has been legendary. I think that he's really been the face of the CSK franchise. He's been the face of Indian cricket, and I know I've only really seen one generation play, and I've watched cricket since 2011, so I wouldn't have seen what happened before that. But so far in my 11 years of watching cricket, I've probably never come across a cricketer with such an aura like MS Dhoni has. I remember going to some live games, the Champions Trophy warm-ups, and the thing is, when MS Dhoni just kind of ran. So when I was at the Kia Oval, I kind of sat in the upper Betsa stand, which is really good for like getting autographs and selfies when they were kind of allowed back then when COVID wasn't there. And so even when Dhoni ran past people, there was just this aura which was different to any cricketer in the world. At that point, Kohli was getting there in terms of having that aura, but then even he didn't have as much of an aura that Dhoni had, and no one has ever had that. And or maybe before, maybe Sachin Tendulkar may have had that. I'm not sure. Considering that again, I didn't really see too much of his career. Considering when I got into cricket, but certainly going there and seeing the game live, I think that it just seems like the kind of the enigma that Dhoni's been in the cricketing world. And I've kind of this is quite I felt quite sad considering how long that I've watched Dhoni play for the last 11 years, and there's been a gradual phasing out from him being kind of having the primary role to the secondary of whether it be the international stage and the franchise cricket. And he's still being the side, and I think that just like he did for India under Virat Kohli, I'm sure he'll still be the captain of the 22 yards, especially when the spinners are bowling. And for me, he would probably still be the captain when Jadeja's bowling. But I'm saying that rightly so, it's Jadeja's team now, and I really like the way they're doing the transition so that Jadeja has MS Dhoni to help him in his first ever time of captaining in professional cricket. And then with Jadeja playing the best cricket of his life, I certainly think that you'd think also with if you combine the transition as well, he'd be the best place to kind of take over the captaincy mantle for this franchise. And yeah, that was on MS Dhoni, and yeah, I could have said more. A legend of the game, and yeah, we'll really, at least he's playing. That's a huge positive, but we'll really miss kind of. I know he'll still be a captain in some ways, especially as I said when the spinners are bowling behind the stump, to still be kind of the captain of the 22 yards. But I guess that just officially putting the toss, kind of flipping the coin, the whole the press conferences, post match presentations, and everything. Certainly that will be missed as well. So yeah, that's on that. And getting to the kind of CSK for this season, the captain Ravindra Jadeja has quite a bit of a job at hand. Now, I think there's the reason why this is going to be it's hard in a different way, because if you compare this to quite a contrast, it's quite a contrasting thing actually, but I think comparing this will give an idea of a different way in which Jadeja's role will be harder. So Shreyas Iyer took over the captaincy for a Delhi Daredevils side when Gautam Gambhir fairly soon into the tournament was not satisfied with his form, and so he stepped down and I think refused to collect kind of the wages for the rest of that tournament. And Shreyas Iyer was made captain, and this was of a Delhi Daredevils side that I thought had a really good auction at that point in time, and yet things just didn't materialize at all. They'd been wooden spoon contenders for quite, or not contenders, or even wooden spoon achievers for quite a while, and it was a shame because they really had some quality, high class players. They had most of the core they had now in kind of Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant, Kahisa Rabada. At one point, they even had Sanju Samson as well when he was probably in the phase where consistency was. It's still something that Sanju Samson's trying to improve now, but it was even more out of the window from before, apart from a few handful of innings. And so, despite the fact that they had all these players, they couldn't really get things going. And it was no surprise for me that the moment they changed their name, from the Daredevils to the Capitals, a new start, and with the same core of players, especially with Shikhar Dhawan in the side as well, and even more improvements in the 2020 season. It really kind of shows that they've been imperious in the last 3 seasons of the IPL, and it's almost like they rewrote what happened from before, and you'd associate the Delhi franchise to what they would have been the last 3 seasons. Whereas I think the thing that went in Shreyas Iyer's favour, as I said, was the core of players that he already had when the team weren't doing that well. Himself, Rishabh Pant, Kahisa Rabada, and when they were first starting off as the Delhi Capitals, that kind of a first 11 that they were able to field with a Shikhar Dhawan being put in as well. You kind of thought they were in a really good stead. It was just the case of getting back into that winning run that the Delhi franchise hadn't experienced in a long time, and were perennial underachievers in the IPL, apart from really one season when Jayawardene and Peterson were played in the side, and even that kind of ended in a bit of a whimper against CSK. So I think that he still had quite a few of those players that he would kind of form the core of the side, and so he had quite a bit of an easier job in that regard, that he had the personnel. Whereas for Jadeja, he's part of a side that has won the tournament 4 times, and probably the most successful side in the IPL considering how many times they've made the playoffs as well. And so CSK have got the clout, they've got players who've been there for quite a while now, but if you look at most of the sides in this season, they're not as strong as they were before. Maybe apart from like a Rajasthan Royals or a Punjab Kings, there are quite a few other sides that have kind of, you could say, for example, like a Mumbai Indians who are weaker than before, and certainly a CSK as well, especially with the current predicament that they have. And there's talk about MS Dhoni since he's not in the side, will he play every game? And I personally think he should. And if I'm actually gonna suggest my 11 without MS Dhoni or Deepak Chahar in it, and there'll probably be one slot where if you wanted to put Dhoni in, you could say either Dhoni or Chahar, or Dhoni and Chahar if Chahar comes back kind of mid-April. You could say it'd be fairly easy to slot them in. So I'm gonna start with my 11. Rudraj Gaikwad opening the batting along with Devon Conway. Now, I've seen Devon Conway bat, but I haven't really seen him keep. But apparently he does keep, or he can keep. So, yeah, that will certainly give them that impetus at the top of the order, as he was he was bought as a Faf 2% replacement. So Devon Conway, Rudraj Gaikwad, Moeen Ali 3, Raidu 4, Jadeja 5, Shivam Dube 6, who I think is a blessing in disguise that they've bought him instead of Vijay Shankar, because I thought either Vijay Shankar or Shivam Dube. But Shivam Dube being more suited to that number 6 finisher role, so I think it was great that they bought him, and then they bought Dwayne Bravo at number 7. So the batting is actually quite good. I think that that's probably is looking quite settled, and they're going to need that batting, because now you're going to see the other four with the other four names. If you see how the bowling attack is formed, there is going to be a bit of an issue, because Adam Milne number 8 or Rajvardhan Hangarkar probably at number 8, Adam Milne 9, KM Asif number 10. And number 11, I've actually gone with, if you actually look at the side, they've got a lot of bowling options at 11. It's a huge positive, because you've got, if you look at the paces they've got 5 seamers in whether a 4 over or 2 or 3 over, with Dwayne Bravo, Adam Milne, KM Asif, Rajvardhan Hangarkar and Shivam Dube. So 5 seamers. And they've got the two finger spinners in Ravindra Jadeja and Moeen Ali. And the reason why I've included the number 11 that I'm going to say is because the CSK, a frontline spinner, doesn't really fit with their template. They usually go with their 2 finger spinners who are all-rounders in Jadeja and Moeen Ali. But since they're playing in Maharashtra, and if they're playing at Wankhede Stadium, the spinners are not going to have a great time. Jadeja really struggles bowling in batting-friendly surfaces, and so you're not going to be able to rely on him too much through this tournament with his bowling, I feel. And then you've got the seamers, who, yes, Dwayne Bravo will bowl the death, but then Adam Milne, he's been in a good form since the 100 some months ago, but you'd still say that for him to stand up as the main leader of the attack at this point in time, despite the fact he's been on a good run of form, would be a bit of a stretch. But he is clearly going to have to be the one in Deepak Chahar's absence to stand up. And Asif, so KM Asif and Rajvardhan Hangarkar. So clearly, it's a bit thin in terms of you're not sure whether Dwayne Bravo is going to be able to stand up every game, and even then he's going to be bowling in death bowling duties. So you're going to have to find another death bowler, who most likely have to be Adam Milne. But also KM Asif and Rajvardhan Hangarkar are going to have to, that first, the overs until the death overs is going to be the case where, in fact, it's going to be a challenge for the seamers, the other seamers, like Asif and Hangarkar. In any phase of the innings, we haven't really seen them too much in the IPL, whether they'd be able to have their strengths bowling with the new ball, or the middle overs, or the end. We don't know that. And in batting-friendly tracks as well, so they may struggle. So Adam Milne is going to have to stand up alongside Dwayne Bravo. And it is for that reason why the problem with the bowlers that I've said, if you combine them all, if the batsmen start really hitting, if they're playing against a Rajasthan Royals or a Delhi Capitals with their explosive top orders, for example, if you look at a Joss Butler or a Rishabh Pant, for example, if they start going on a roll, then this side doesn't really seem to have the goods to get a wicket out of the blue and really claw things back. That's why Prashant Solanki is their only other frontline Indian spinner, kind of a pure bowler. He's a leg spinner. I haven't seen him play at all, but I just think that extra bit of variety, since they've got the bowling options, the batting is there as well. They've got batting down to number 8 if you count Hangarkar as well. So if Prashant Solanki is played in the 11, it'll give them that extra bit of variety if they need to use him to break a partnership, to kind of, the batsman takes a risk against him and it works in CSK's favour. That would really work as well. So yeah, they've got quite a few bowling options in this 11. What, 5 seamers? So wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 4 overseas players, 11 players, and so they've got Moeen Ali, Jadeja, and Prashant Solanki as 3 spinners. Then they've got Shivam Dube, Bravo, Milne, K. Masif, and Rajvardhan Angarwal. So 5 seamers and 3 spinners. That's a lot of bowling options there. And so CSK are quite, at least they've got some players to kind of experiment with. And they've also got some Indian pace bowling stocks in the likes of Tushar Deshpande and also in Simarjit Singh, who I saw, who's I've heard on Ashwin's channel is quite skiddy. So they've got players like those. But as you can see, the Indian seam bowling stocks, we haven't seen them really at all in the IPL. We don't know their strengths as such. So they're going to have to stand up in pretty much all phases of the innings. They don't have the Deepak Chahar who can really be that wow bowler up front. And you don't know how the seamers are going to fare in the middle overs. They're going to have to do a lot of the work because you wouldn't necessarily think Jadeja and Moeen Ali are going to be the middle over bowlers that can influence too much in these conditions. And so yeah, they're gonna need these bowling options. And as you can see, if they are comfortable with going with the 2 finger spinners, which is quite a bit of a risk, but if they are, then if MS Dhoni could be played maybe instead of Prashant Solanki, considering they've got all these other bowling options, Deepak Chahar instead of either KM Asif or Rajvardhan Angarwal. If they play him instead of KM Asif, they've got a lot of batting, because if they don't play Prashant Solanki and they don't play KM Asif, if Deepak Chahar comes back, pretty much the whole team can bat. So they've got a lot of batting depth. They could either play Chahar instead of Rajvardhan Angarwal or KM Asif. Certainly in the bowling front, KM Asif is more experienced, so I would certainly think that I personally would play him instead of Hangarwal if he does return, by the way. So I know I'm talking in at least kind of mid-April time. But yeah, this is they're probably gonna have to. I'm actually gonna get the squad up right now. Bear with me. Oh yeah, so they've got quite a few options, but yeah, they're probably gonna struggle in terms of that seamer. Apart from Dwayne Bravo, who's gonna really stand up and get those breakthroughs, and this attack, if you don't play the likes of Prashant Solanki, it hardly has any variety in it. And I just feel like if they face a stacked Delhi Capitals, the opposition may have a field day in terms of once they start just getting the runs off this team. You don't even have someone like a Shardul Thakur who can make things happen, and we simply don't know about the other Indian seamers, what they would do. We haven't seen them too much in the IPL. So that's on the side. Jadeja's got a lot cut out for him. And yeah, I wish him the best of luck. He will have MS Dhoni still in the squad, and I'm sure he will still play quite a big role. And this is why I'm saying, I would say that MS Dhoni not being the front runner in terms of being captain, I think it would kind of affect how far it could affect how far CSK go in this competition, because you look at what he's done with this side, that ever since 2018, they've always been kind of thought of as not being as strong as the other sides, and in some cases, especially in 2018, kind of written off. And yet they've won 2 titles since 2018, and you could say they should have won the third in 2019 because of the narrow margin that they lost it. They shouldn't have lost that game. They were going so well at one point, and yeah, they lost in the end. And you could say they could have probably won 3 IPL titles in that time, but even they won 2, and that's the thing where MS Dhoni managed to get so much out of this group of players, which pretty much no other captain, in my view, could have achieved with this squad. I think that he just has that know-how where that not many players do. And I just think that without MS Dhoni at the helm, really being able to manage these players just solely with himself being the focal point, it will certainly, Jadeja will not, especially as of now, I think, the fact he hasn't effectively captained in professional cricket, so he won't have as much of a know-how, despite the fact he's played in CSK for quite some time. He won't have as much of a know-how on how to use his players. And they've got, some new acquisition. Well, not new acquisition. KM Asif has been there from before, but again, even him, we haven't seen too much of him in the IPL. The domestic seamers, how is Jadeja going to handle them? How's he going to handle his own bowling when the condition... Look, he struggles in more batting-friendly tracks, and how is he going to handle his own bowling as well? So, on the batting front, CSK look really good, but in the bowling, they're gonna, I feel, struggle a bit unless someone really steps up. And before I end the video, I'd like to say they haven't helped themselves because they've wasted money, and especially three players, I feel. Theekshana, Chris Jordan, Dwayne Pretorius. If a frontline spinner, an Indian frontline spinner doesn't get into your side because he doesn't fit your template, and that's why you go with your all-rounders, how is an overseas spinner going to get into your side? It just doesn't make any sense. Theekshana, as I've said before, he drops the ball short quite a bit and kind of gets swatted square at the wicket. He's kind of quite a work-in-progress bowler. And relying on him in these conditions will not be great. And Chris Jordan, as I said before, a better athlete than he is a bowler. You say, oh, he's a death bowler, but then, as I said before, actually just other bowlers who don't have this tag of being a death bowling specialist actually bowl better than the death bowling specialist. So it just, for me, his batting has also just kind of gone down a bit as well. So I just think 3.6 crores for him when in Gidi went from 50 lakhs to Delhi Capitals, when in 2018 he bowled CSK to the title and Bravo had an off year with the Bulls. So I didn't understand that. And honestly, I saw Dwayne Pretorius bowl a few overs in the loss to Bangladesh in the third ODI. And I just kind of thought, every ball he bowled, no disrespect, but I kind of just thought, a Dwayne Bravo replacement. If you look at how integral Dwayne Bravo is to this side, and I guess that kind of shows why the fact that he's a forefront and not someone like a Deepak Chahar shows the CSK's bowling is a bit iffy this season. And how is Dwayne Pretorius gonna replace Dwayne Bravo in any facet? I mean, not in batting. I know Dwayne Bravo's batting hasn't been that great, but you'd certainly probably... He still has one or two, yes, consistency probably not, but he still has one or two good innings maybe in him. Not you can't depend on him in a season, but he has done it before. But for Dwayne Pretorius, you won't really get that same faith when he walks out to bat. Certainly not in bowling at any stage of the innings. I just don't understand it at all that they've really wasted So 4.1 crores plus. They've wasted 4.8 crores on three overseas players who are not going to cut it out for them in this season, even in their starting 11 composition for at least two of those. And I just don't understand getting those three. They could have just bought even one more impact player, local impact player would have been much better. Probably more usable, because honestly, Theekshana will probably not get a game. And if even Mitchell Santner, who look, I have no issues with them buying him. He's probably a more kind of a backup, despite the fact that you're replacing more of a batting all-rounder with a bowling all-rounder in Santner. But if even Mitchell Santner, if he's going to struggle to get a game, I just don't understand buying Theekshana. I really don't. And Santner is a way better bowler than Theekshana at this point in time as well. So I just think that I don't understand that buy at all. And that's pretty much what I had to say, that they haven't helped themselves, that they haven't really been able to get this impact player who has a bit more experience than the other ones that they've got on the sidelines. and they only have themselves to blame for going for some players that again, I just think in Lungi and Giri 50 lakh would have been cheap. They would have got Lungi and Giri for Dwayne Pretorius money, maybe a bit more if Delhi Capital had bid for him more, but guess what, they would have had 4.8 crores that they've spent on 3 players to spend on Lungi and Giri, and they wouldn't have had any problem in playing 2 fast bowlers then, because I still don't think that they would have been veered away. They may still play 2 seamers and Devon Conway may not get a game, but the fact is that considering they know how the Chris Jordan, you really can't rely on him at all, despite the tag that he has of bowling at the death. I think that that's what will veer them away from going from that 2-seamer combination, or may veer them away from going in that route because of the acquisitions that they've got. So again, this is not, I'm not writing CSK off, and I'm saying whatever I said was not in contention or relation to them making the players, despite the fact that I mentioned it may affect their chances that Dhoni isn't leading as a forefront, which I think that in that way it will, but more than, I think the journey to the playoffs is playing every game, and the journey to winning the competition is playing every game. And every game CSK will find, especially they come up against a stacked side, like I said, a Delhi Capital's explosive top order. If they go on a roll, which one of these bowlers, without Deepak Chahar there, which one of these bowlers, maybe apart from Dwayne Bravo, is going to step up and say, right, I'll make something happen and get a wicket? You can't really see that with this roster. So I wish them the best of luck, but yeah, this is going to be a bit, the bowling is going to be a bit iffy. You probably think Rajvardhan Hangargekar is probably going to fill that Shardul Thakur role and kind of make something happen. K. Masif has got the experience, not so much in the IPL, but he's got it in the domestic circuit. And he will be, with the skiddier nature that he bowls, he'll certainly be useful on these wickets. But if someone starts hitting these seamers around, there's literally almost no variety between any of them. And if you look at the out and out, kind of the main seamers, Dwayne Bravo is a death, yes. But if you're looking at the players that rely on the first 10 overs, then or until the death over phase and also during the death overs, you just can't really seem to think that the others have too much to separate each of them. So especially if you look at Tushar Deshpande, K. Masif, Adam Milne, there isn't really too much to separate them. So yeah, CSK, Jadeja is going to have his work cut out for this season, as his first season, as I said before, quite a different scenario from Shreyas Iyer, who had the players at the Delhi Capitals, and honestly has been, especially in the last 2 seasons, has been captaining an elite squad. So that'll be a different thing for Jadeja to handle, but I wish him the best of luck. Let's see how CSK go this season. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?